Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is Fat Man here, and also with me is Little Boy.
Hello?
And we had a pretty weird day yesterday. Um, so yesterday around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I looked at the clock and saw what time it was, and I was supposed to go get Little Boy from work at 5. I watched 4 5-minute long videos. So therefore it should have been 2:20, right? But when I looked at the clock after the 4th video, it said it was 5:10. So I was like, what the hell? And I jumped in the car and I hurried down the dirt road that I live on. I turned a left onto a different road, and then I hung another left onto a different dirt road, and this other dirt road is a really short road. So you're only on it for like 30 seconds before you hang a right. And then from there on out, it's pretty much a straight shot to where Little Boy works. At any rate, when I turned off of that road again, should have just been like a really short period of time later. Like another 10 minutes had passed. So I thought, what is going on? And so I hurried, and the whole drive there, I felt like time was just moving too fast. So when I got there and Little Boy came out and got in the car, the first thing I did was apologize for being late. And then he told me he had a weird day. So go ahead and tell the listeners what happened to you, Little Boy.
I had used the restroom for 2 minutes, but when I looked at the clock when I got out, it had been 10.
Oh, I thought you said it was 20 minutes.
No, it was 10.
Oh,
You might have mixed the 2 minutes and 10 minutes.
right. Okay. I mean, still, either way, it shouldn't take 10 minutes to pee.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty weird. So, and then the other thing was I said my ears were ringing yesterday. And I asked him if his ears were ringing. And you said, what was it? There was like alarms going off where you were working.
Yeah, so I wouldn't have been able to hear it if it
Right.
did.
You had some hearing issues. But I was thinking about that ear ringing thing, and on Facebook, I belong to a Mandela group, and like a ton of people in that group say that when there's some sort of a change, their ears ring. So then this morning, um, I drove Little Boy to work again, and then when I came home, my daughter was in the kitchen making coffee, and I was like, "What?" And Little Boy can back me up on this. That's not something that happens in our household.
Yeah.
Um, so I was like, "How long have we had a coffee maker?" And my brother-in-law was standing right there at the time, and he said, "Your wife, which is his sister, um, has had that coffee maker for like 20 years." And my daughter was like, "Yeah, I've been drinking coffee for like 5 years now, Dad." It was weird. I was really reminded of like Back to the Future, where at the very end of the first movie, Marty comes out in the living room and um like he sees his brother Dave dressed in a suit. And Marty's like, "What are you wearing, Dave?" And Dave's like, "Marty, I always wear a suit to the office." It was just like that. It was really weird. And then the other thing I was going to mention is when we drove to work this morning, I noticed there's this one guy who has old cars in his driveway, and the cars had changed. I thought that was weird. He had, I'm trying to remember what he had for the last couple weeks, because he used to have this car that reminded me of like Stephen King's Christine, but it was like kind of an aqua color. And then it was something else for a while, like it was something red or something. And now it's back to like the Christine car again. So I thought that was strange. So yeah, I think we actually experienced some sort of a Mandela effect yesterday. Did you have anything you wanted to add, little boy, or?
I can't really think of much right now. The main thing is he has that like 1920s like early race car or whatever, where it's shaped kind of like a bullet.
Oh, right. The little silver
I
thing.
noticed it had a yeah, and it had a gold 7 on the grill.
Huh. I didn't notice that.
Now, mind you, he might have just got repainted in a couple of days, but it was just kind of strange.
And then he had an ice cream truck.
Yeah.
And the ice cream truck was weird too. But yeah, like it made me think that it's almost as if time had changed. And it's like this guy collects old cars, and it's just like there was some point in his life where he had to choose between two cars. So when there's a Mandela effect, like the cars are flip-flopping between what his two choices were. Like that's kind of what it seems like. And I could be way off. It could be something else. But yeah, it's kind of weird. Seems like I'm late. Oh yeah, then the other one is so yeah, when we got home last night, I left a part out. My brother-in-law asked if I could take him to a corner store. He wanted to get like some milk or something. And so I drove him down there. So I hadn't gotten out of the car since the weird time stuff had happened. I drive him to the corner store. We get back. And when I get out of the car, I could walk normally again. I had something go wrong last Christmas. I spent 3 months in traction and have been walking with a limp ever since. And when I walked in the house last night, I walked fine. And that weirded me out because up until now, I had been thinking of the Mandela effect as if, like I heard this one guy talking about wormholes, and he was talking about all the things in nature, like radiation, magnetism, like you name it. He was saying how there's more stuff that exists that we cannot see because it's outside of our visual spectrum than there are things that we can see, right? And so then he put forward this idea, like, why do we think we could see a wormhole? And I thought, oh wow, if something went wrong, and if CERN like opened a bunch of wormholes everywhere and people were just walking through them all the time from kind of like dimension to dimension, you wouldn't even know, right? But the thing is, if that's how the Mandela effect worked, I don't think my leg would change. That weirded me out. And then this morning when I woke up, my leg was a little worse. It wasn't as bad as it was before, but it was like a halfway point between the two states. And I thought, what's that about? Yeah, but like I thought it was weird, and the whole thing has me kind of rethinking the Mandela effect. There was another theory I heard that I've kind of been wondering about. I don't know what I think of it, but I think it was a CERN scientist said something about the butterfly effect and how the way the butterfly effect works, it only requires like a single particle. So if CERN were to just take a bunch of tachyon particles, which move faster than the speed of light, they move back in time, right? If they they make a bunch of new tachyon particles now, they just go back in time, even though they're just particles and they're not doing anything particularly special. The idea is they disrupt stuff just enough that it would alter the present. And I thought that's interesting to think about, that it could be something that simple. And then, while we're on the subject, there's another thing I wanted to say. So, we moved from one house to another. It's probably been about 5 years ago now. Because we've been living in this house for 2 years. Well, no, so it'd be 4 years ago. We've been living in this house now for 2 years, and we lived in the other house for 2 years. So the point is, 4 years ago when we were moving, it was a 20-minute drive from one house to the other. And so I would get a bunch of boxes from the old house. I would drive 20 minutes to the new house. I would unload boxes, which didn't take very long. And then I would drive back to where I started to get another load, right? My wife would ask me, she'd be like, "Where the hell were you?" I'd say, "What do you mean? I just went to the house and came back." And she'd say, "It's 4 hours later." I was like, "What?" It kept happening. And she was mad at me. She thought I was like screwing around. She's like, "We don't have a lot of time. We need to move out of here before, we get charged for another month's rent, blah, 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 blah." And so I took her with me then, because I had been going by myself so that I could have boxes in the passenger seat. And I said, "Fine." And it was happening consistently. Every single time I did it, I was losing time. So I put her in the passenger seat. I drove her over there. We drove back. Sure enough, it had been 4 hours. She's like, "That's crazy." And I said, "Yeah, it should be like 20 minutes there, 20 minutes back. That's 40 minutes. 10 or 20 minutes to unload. Like, I should be back in an hour." But every single time it was 4 hours later. I don't remember. Did you ever go with me on any of those trips, little boy? Did you experience that?
No,
No, you were staying home. Yeah, you would have been quite a bit younger then, so that would have kind of changed the dynamic. But yeah, that was pretty weird, you know. So I just wanted to mention that. I mentioned it in a couple of Mandela groups today, and people are kind of responding to it. And not only the ear ringing thing, which they're like, "Yeah, our ears ring when we experience a change," which I feel like that's noteworthy. If we're trying to figure out what's going on, we should kind of like write the symptoms down, but not only the ear ringing thing, but then I mentioned time loss. And even though to me that almost seems like a completely different, like, paranormal phenomenon or whatever, I was surprised how many people in the Mandela group said they also experience time loss from time to time. So I thought it was worth mentioning, Um, I guess that's it. I'll leave that be it for this video. Did you have anything you wanted to add, little boy?
not that I can really think of. I think that sums up for most of our time-based issues.
Okay. Well, if any of you guys listening, if you've had ears ringing or lost time or anything like that, we'd love to hear about it in the comments section. As always, if you hit like or subscribe, that helps the channel out immensely. It lets YouTube know we're worth keeping on their servers. And until next time, have a good week, everybody. Bye.